Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF. Bava Metzia Kufid Beis. 4 lines off the top of the Yom Davar Achar. We have another explanation in the pasuk Ve'elav hu noiseis nafshe. Don't withhold your employee's wages. Ve'elav hu noiseis nafshe. What does that mean? Says the Brisa. Kol ha'kover schar socher kilu noitel nafshe mimeno. Because when a person withholds a salary from a socher, it is considered as though he is taking a life away. Now, whose life is he taking? We have a machlokes between Rav Huna and Rav Chisda. Chadam, one explains, nafshe shel gazlan. The Torah is warning the employer, look, should you withhold his salary, the subsequent punishment may be death, the employer's death. Shegoyrei misa la'atzmei, says Rashi, kilu noitel nafshe mimenu. He'll be accountable for chas v'shalom his own death. A punishment for holding back the schar of the sachir. The other Amoyer learns that the pasuk is simply speaking about the nefesh of the nigzal. Rashi explains, by withholding one's salary, ne'enash olav kihilu hergai. It can generate a punishment from Hashem as though he killed that person, as though that person was a victim of murder. As we learned yesterday, because he was Meiser Nefesh, he gave up his life, he put his life on the line, he endangered himself, climbing up those scaffolds, climbing up that dangerous tree to pick your fruit, to lay your bricks. By the way, the Rabbi Yehuda learns, based on this Gemara, that one is allowed to place himself in a certain degree of danger to earn a livelihood. He's Meiser Nefesh, says the Gemara, based on this pasuk. So, by withholding his salary, you're taking away his life. Look, he gave his life for it. How can you not pay him? Says the Gemara. Okay, what is this machlekes based on? Where did they get their interpretations? Man da'amar nafshe shel gazlan. The one that applies it to the perpetrator, it can bring about his death. As we find in another pasuk in Mishlei, l'chsiv al tigzal dol. Be careful, don't rob a poor man. Ki dolhu, Rashi says, im dalu. Just because you're thinking that he's a poor man, he has nobody to defend him, be careful, don't take his money. Val tedaki ani bashar, l'chsiv ki Hashem yorev rivam, v'kava eskayv ehem nefesh. So, when a person withholds money from a dal, from his poor worker here, the kavas kayveim nefesh, Hashem will be kayveya kayveim. Hashem will punish the fellow who cover, says Rashi, means the goizel. The goizel es goizleim. Right? Hashem will apply the concept of gzela to the gazlan, take away something from him in exchange for, right? Because he took the money from the nigzal. And what is Hashem going to take from him? His nefesh, his life. So that's the consequence. The gazlan brings that about on himself. The other shita says that the pasuk is referring to taking the victim's life. As we find in another pasuk, the way of the thief is to take the nefesh, the life of his victim. So we see that it's referring to the victim. Now, what does this opinion do with the pasuk that we just quoted as nefesh ba'alabikach, which indicates that in fact we're speaking about the victim's nefesh being taken, not the perpetrator. Well, ba'al of the hashta, it's referring to the ganab who currently is in possession of that money. Hashem will take his life away for stealing, because stealing is like murder. Now, what does the other shit to do with the first pasuk, which indicates that it's the perpetrator losing his life? Ma'atam ka'amar. The pasuk is simply giving a reason. Ma'atam kava es kaveyim. Why? In fact, will Hashem severely punish the Gazlan, and may even take away his life. Because he took away the nefesh of the victim. So it's midah connected midah. So bottom line is, withholding wages, something very severe, something very serious. He was missing nefesh for his money. And by holding up that money, it's considered nefesh. According to one shita, it's like he took his life. Mishnah says, all these, halachas, the isser of Baal Talin, right? Is only if the worker asked for his money, he sent you a bill. Otherwise, you're not over. Taner Rabbana, lo solan pulas sacher. Take care not to delay, right? Paying wages. Perhaps even if he hadn't asked for his money yet, the concern is only if it's ladatra, if it's by way of your decision, going against his request. He asked you for the money and you're withholding it, that's ladatra. But if he hasn't yet asked you for it, maybe he's not in a rush. Next point. Fine, he asked you for the money, but let's say you don't have the money on hand. Have you violated the Isser? No. It's strictly speaking when you have the money with you. You have money available. But otherwise you're not over. Next halach. This is the halach we had in the Mishnah. Let's say he gave him a credit note. I know you need to buy some groceries here. Take a gift card for the grocery store. Take a gift card for the bank, right? The shulchani. And they'll pay you. Has he now fulfilled his obligation? Itcha. Itcha. This is only if the money is with you, as opposed to where he already delegated it to the bank or to the grocery, with this fellow's consent, of course, right? So even if they hadn't paid him on time, it's not my issue. Right? Now, okay, so that's what we just learned. Now comes an interesting question. Let's say the bank refused to give him that money. Can he come back to me? Am I still responsible? Or is it as though, once I gave him that authority, I gave him that gift card, it's as though I paid him, I'm done. Chayzer, can he still go back to the employer and ask for his money if he wasn't successful at the grocery or the bank? Or perhaps he has no recourse. It's already paid up as far as I'm concerned. Go claim it from them. You cannot return to the employer. As far as he's concerned, it's paid up. Rabba Amar Chayzer, he can go back. Amar Rabba. How do I know this is true? Because look at the Mishnah. Once he delegates it, he's not over. Okay, he's not over if the time passes or whatever. But he's still ultimately responsible for that paycheck. If it doesn't work out at the bank, he can come back to me. He says, no, my Eino Aver. When the Mishnah says Eino Aver, it means I'm totally out of the picture. Eino B'toira Aslaver. I'm not within this whole equation anymore to be able to be Aver. Meaning I'm not anymore your employer. I don't owe you any money. So here comes another question to Rav Sheshes. Kablonis. A contractor. Okay, so here's my car, fix it up, tell me when it's ready. It's not like a worker, like a laborer, like a daily worker. It's a contractor. Do the job and let me know when it's done. I get back the car and I delay payment. Is there an Isser of Baal Tolan or not? And what does this question depend on? The way Rashi learns, the Gemara, it depends on the next question. Uman, when a fellow improves an item, such as the mechanic who improves on the car, does he acquire that added value? It's like his. And now when he gives me back the car, it's like a sale. It's like selling me the added value in exchange for that fee. So now when I delay that fee, it's like a loan. I owe money. That's not considered direct wage for your work. You've done your job. The item partially belongs to you. You're giving it to me like selling it to me. I owe you money for that sale. Valvoy, it's like a loan. In which case, there's no Baal Tolan on repaying a loan. So even if I procrastinate, I haven't really violated these Isurim, or no. Ein uman koine b'shvach kli. When a fellow improves an item, he doesn't really get a part of it. He doesn't really own it. So after all, I'm paying him for his work, for his labor. It's like regular schirus. In which case I have to pay on time. Amalu Rav Sheshes Oiver. Rav Sheshes responded in the affirmative. It's like schirus, and I must pay on time, otherwise I'm over. But the Brisa says you're not over. That's speaking where he delegated it to the bank, to the grocery. Name a Masayale. Now comes an attempt to support Rav Sheshes. Hanois and Talisa Uman. He gave his garment to the Uman, to the professional Gomra. He finished the job. He informed me that it's done. Afilu Mikan. Even if it takes 10 days for me to show up. There's no Isra Bal Tolan, but Nasna life. Once he gives it to me, he delivers me the complete item. Even if he gave it to me lunchtime, right? I must pay during that day until sunset. Once the sun sets on me, there's an Isra Bal Tolan. Now, if the tradesman is over, the craftsman is kaina, he acquires the added value and benefit that he crafted there. So now he's like selling it to me. Amai over. So why is there an Isra Bal Tolan? Amar Rav Mori Breder of Kahana. No, perhaps we're speaking about a case where there is no shvach kli. Begarda de Sarbala. He was charged with doing some sort of procedure with the softening it, right? Banging the softening the material. In which case, there's no added value to the items. So here, it's certainly considered like a regular labor with halachas of Bal Tolan. What do you mean? Says the Gemara. Why do you give it to him? To soften, that's added value. You improved on the material. It's now warmer, it's more fluffy, right? More insulating. No. His deal was, look, I want you to bang it. Rashi says they used to kick it, they used to put it into a kli and fill it with some sort of material, and it would be stepped on. That would make it more thicker and more durable, whatever. So it was a very specific job. Bang, bang, right? But bitcho b'ma'asa. You got a ma'ah for every bitch, every bang. So here says Rashi, it's a plain schirus. It's like, I'm hiring you to bang. One bang, another bang, another bang. So here, there's no issue of uman koine b'shvach kli. You're not koine the item. It's just physical work I hired you to do. I hired you to bang. It's the activity, it's the act that you hired for. So here, there's no issue of uman koine b'shvach kli, in which case, it wouldn't really pertain to our question, which discusses a case where he actually improved the item, and he was hired to bring back a new and improved item. Right? He was contracted to bring me a finished product. In that case, we can still speculate that perhaps uman koine b'shvach kli, and the whole issue of Bal Tolan does not apply. Now, the Mishnah says, Socher b'zmanoi nishba v'noitel. I hired the guy for today, right? For a day job. So the zman of payment begins when? When the day's up, right? By sunset. And I have the next segment, right? The next night until the morning to pay him. That's called zman. Now let's say there's some dispute between us. He says, I didn't pay him. I claim I paid him. Mishnah says we make a special dispensation for the sacher. Look, typically we don't allow it, but here you can make a shvua. We trust you on that, and you can collect your money. Asks the Gemara why. Sacher amai tikinu l'rabbanan l'mishtaba v'shakel. Since when do people swear to collect? I mean, typically you swear to exempt yourself, not to collect. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Mashmol, you're right. This is an exception. Halachas gedolos shanukan. This belongs in that list of Mesech Shvois of. Right? You look over there. You have a whole list of cases and exceptions to the rules where, in fact, your nishba, the shvua is to allow you to collect, and sacher is one of them. Halachas gedolos shanukan. Asks the Gemara, why are we using this type of phrase? Halachas gedolos. Hani hilchas anina. These are halachas. It sounds like he's speaking about halacha meshim Sinai. It's not deraisa. Hani takanas nina. The takanas derabanan. Elam Rabbi Yehuda Mashmol. You're right. Takanas gedolos shanukan. They're great takanas, established by the chacham. Takana is Gedoyle Shanukan. Asks the Gemara, why are we calling it Gedoyle? Gedoyle is Mechaldik Ktanis, big ones, and there's small ones elsewhere. I mean, why are we calling it big ones? Elam Rashmo Takana is Kvoy Shanukan. It's a Takana de Rabbanan. It's called Takana is Kvois. Why? The Gemara explains how it got the title Kvois. Shvuah de Balabayisi, because really, in such a case, the employer, the Balabayis, should make a Shvuah to exempt himself from payment, like we find throughout the Torah. Rashi brings the pasuk, "V'lokach ba'olav v'lo yishalim." He takes the shvuah from me, meaning I swear to him, substantiate my claim, and it exempts me from payment. That's typically what you do, right? But here we flipped it around. V'shadyu as-sachar, we applied it to the sachar. Instead of the Abai swearing to exempt, the sachar swears to collect. You know why? Mishum kedei chayav. Because this poor fellow needs it for his livelihood. The sachar, right? Asks the Gemara, is that adequate reason to disadvantage and disenfranchise the Balabayis from his rights? Umashim kedei chayav the sachar, just because the sachar is desperate for parnasa. Mafsadna le Balabayis, we're going to disenfranchise the Balabayis. And answers the Gemara, the Balabayis is happy with this system. Balabayis Gufa himself, nichale. He's agreeable to mishtaba sachar v'shaka, that the worker should be allowed to swear and collect. This way workers are willing to come to work, right? And they're not afraid that the Balabayis will deny their payment. Asks the Gemara, Sachar Gufa Nichalei de Mishtaba Balabayis. If anything, go the other way too. Guess what? A worker is agreeable with the Balabayis making the shvuah to exempt himself. V'yip can exempt himself. You know why? This way Bali Batim will be willing employer, will be happy to employ people. So why are we putting the onus on the Balabayis? Put the onus on the Yisachar, meaning, why are we providing an incentive, right, for one fellow over the other, right? Answers the Gemara, well, Balabayis al korchi agar. Balabayis, he doesn't need an incentive. He's compelled, he's forced to hire workers. He's got to do jobs, right? So we don't have to incentivize him. Says the Gemara, Sachar nami bal korchi itke. What do you mean? The Yisachar also is in need of being hired. It's his livelihood. So why do we have to provide him with an incentive? Hello, says the Gemara, you're right. There's another reason, another factor at play. Balabayis torad b'poyalimhu. Typically, a Balabayis is overwhelmed, he's distracted by his many workers, and it's very possible that he simply was not mindful of the fact that he paid this guy, not the other guy, and therefore, even though he's claiming that he paid, we look at it like a shaky argument. And Taisus explains, it's not just about the fact that that we question what he's saying, because in that case, it isn't necessarily going to trigger an obligation. Isn't just because the person doesn't know doesn't mean they have to pay. But Taisus says, listen to this. Taisus says, based on a Gemara back in Bava Kama Kufit Ches, Hilvisani ve'eni yodea. Let's say I come to you and I say, I know you lent me money. I know for a fact you lent me money. I'm not sure if I paid you back. So, according to all shittas, I have to pay you now. It's not just about, Bari against Shema. If I acknowledge that I borrowed and I'm not certain whether I repaid you, I have to pay you. That's the same case here. The Balabayis acknowledges that he hired this fellow. They did work for him, that he owed him money. So although he follows by saying, well, I paid him, no, that's not so simple. We question that second part. So it's like, you lent me money, I'm not sure if I repaid you, I have to pay you. Asks the Gemara, if that's the logic here, Nesiv Leibele Shvuah. So skip the Shvuah altogether. If we're so sure that he owes him the money, let him just pay him outright. Well, you're right, but Kedei Lahafiz Datoi Shel Balabayis. We're just trying to put the Balabayis at ease. So we say, okay, you know what? First let him swear and then you'll pay. Let's just avoid this whole confusion. Let's institute that a Balabayis has to pay in front of witnesses. In which case, if there are no witnesses, he's potter. And if he says, I paid you without Edim, he has to pay him without a shvuah, right? Trichalu milsa, it's a whole hassle to find Edim, it's not practical. How about this? let's institute a takana, a system that an employer always pays his employee at the beginning of the day. At the end of the day, they're all converging and it's mayhem, right? Torah with payalav, but beginning of the workday, they're perhaps staggered in terms of their starting time. Things are more calm, more focused. This way we avoid any confusion. The answer is both individuals, the employer and employee, prefer waiting it out. Bakafa literally means credit, meaning waiting until the end of the day. The employer perhaps doesn't have his money yet, the worker might lose it on the job. Okay. If so, this halacha is based on this concept of the Baal Bayis being torad. So, if the dispute pertains to whether or not he paid, we say the Baal Bayis is at a disadvantage. What about katzatz? The question pertains to the salary amount to begin with. The employer claims it was $10, the employee $20. Why don't we say the same thing there? Baal Bayis says Torah, then he doesn't remember, right? Along with Tanya, why do we find the brisa that when it comes to this question, we deal with it totally differently? The worker says, well, you promised me $2. Baal Bayis claims it was only one. We don't say, well, just make a shvuah to collect. No. We consider this like any other monetary dispute, in which case you have to prove your case. You want to extract money? Prove your point. All right. Why? Baal Bayis says Torah. He's confused. He's distracted, preoccupied. No. People typically remember the terms of the salary agreement. Whether or not I paid you, that's confusing. I mean, I paid him and not you and I. But in terms of the agreement, we assume everybody remembers. If that's the case, says the Gemara. Let's go back to the original halach. Right? If his pay time has arrived, like we explained, let's say he was a sachar yiyayim, he worked throughout the day. The zman of payment begins at night, and he has the whole night to pay. So within that segment, the nighttime segment, nishba b'noita. What about if the zman is up, it's ready the next morning, which is past, the Baal Tolen deadline. Let's apply the same concept there. Baal Bayis is torad, he forgot to pay, let the sachar make a shvuah to collect. But why does the mission say he doesn't do that anymore? Once the time is up, he can't do that anymore. Why not? What difference does it make if it's now or then? The answer is chazaka. We assume ein Baal Bayis over mishum Baal Tolen. The Baal Bayis would not allow himself to transgress Baal Tolen. So that factor works against the sachar. We presume that he paid. Well, Amr, you just told me Baal Bayis Torah to pay alavu. He's unfocused. What do you mean he's going to pay? He's not focused. It's only before the zman, before the deadline. So he's, distracted. Aval. But he wouldn't play with fire. Aval matazman chayuv. Once the Baal Tolen comes around, he's playing with fire. Rami Anafshi certainly will jog his memory. He'll wake himself up midkar and recall that he hasn't paid his worker. So we have that factor working against the worker. So this sort of counteracts the confusion factor. Asks the Gemara, okay, but you have another factor at play as well. Sure, the Baal Bayis wouldn't risk a Baal Tolen. Okay, but remember, the worker is asking for his money. You think he's a robber? You also have to look at his record, right? Why would he ask for money that doesn't belong to him? So if you're looking at spiritual, calculations, you have one for the worker as well. But bottom line, when you calculate the factors, you have 2 against 1. On the employer's side, you have a double chazaka factor to his benefit. One is the ein Baal Bayis over mishum Baal Tolen, he wouldn't allow himself to be over Baal Tolen. The next factor is the ein sacher mashas chare. Chances are the worker would not let him wait that long, so that actually benefits the Baal Bayis. It gives us reason to believe that he paid him. So there are 2 factors in his favor, in the employer's favor. Once it's so late in the game, we have 2 factors in his favor. indicating that he paid. On the Sachir side, who claims that he wasn't paid, we have only one chazaka. Why would he steal? Why would he be dishonest? So it's 2 against 1, in which case the Baal Bayis wins. So bottom line, Sachir bizmano nishba b'noitel. Baal Bayis is Torah b'payalav. So once you get past Baal Tolan, hard to believe that he would have allowed himself to go that late. And in this case, we assume he paid him. So we can't do nishba v'noitel, but, says the Mishnah, one more exception to the rule. Im yesh edem shetava yaharei nishba v'noitel. We have edem that the Sachar asked for his money. So now we sort of extend his privilege. It doesn't end by daybreak. The Sachar can just swear any time and collect his money. Asks the Gemara, v'katave l'kamon. You're talking about demanding your pay in front of Edom. He's doing it in front of us now. What do we need Edom for? What do you mean? Oh, no. The Mishnah meant that he asked him for his money during the Zman. So again, in the case where he worked by day, so the owner has the next night, the following night to pay him. And during that segment, he asked for his money in front of Edom. He didn't just wake up today, a week later, in which case we have good reason to believe he was paid up. No, he was already asking for it bismanai, when the Baal Bayis was still Torah b'payalav, and he wasn't paying him then. Asks Zumar, okay, but maybe he paid him an hour later. Maybe he paid him an hour later. Amar Abaye, no, Shatavi called Zmanai. He kept on asking until the morning. So he wasn't paying him bismanai. So now it sort of flips the whole equation around. Instead of assuming that the owner paid him to avoid Baal Tolan, we know for a fact he didn't do that. So now we allow the Sachar we grant him that same privilege, we stretch his privilege past his man, and whenever he demands, whenever he comes, he can ask for it with a shvu. Like partly, I mean, he's not going to pay him forever. I mean, it's a year later, right? Who says he didn't pay him in the interim? You're right. We have to be reasonable. We extend it a little bit. We give him another day. Right? So let's say he demanded his pay throughout the night, and it didn't happen. So come the morning, we give him an extra day. It seems in the Gemara it's like a 24-hour period. Typically that's what Yom means, right? Yom means a 24-hour period. In any case, it's not forever. And he could be nishba v'noitel. But past that point, we say, look, it's already, now it's an unknown. We can't just give you that right, and we treat it like a regular hamoitze mechavel avaraya. Okay, so let's recap today's DAF. We discussed the importance of paying wages. It's tantamount to noitel nafshay, because he was missing nefesh for this money. Delegating it to the chanvani, to the shulchani is okay. The isser is only if the fellow asks for his money. Isser is only if you have the money to pay him. We had a question regarding a kablan, whether or not there's batolan. We explained the logic behind sachar b'zmano nishba v'noitel. Okay, all the best to you and atzlach.